than us. We don't have this tendency to actually attribute greatness to them. But Allah tells us how great they are. Allah mentions, أَلَمْ تَرَ كَيْفَ فَعَلَ رَبُّكَ بِعَادٍ إِرَمَ ذَاتِ الْعِمَادِ. Did you not see what your Lord did to the people of Ad? Iram is actually another name that's used for Ad. Iram ذات العماد, the ones with the giant pillars. التي لم يخلق مثلها في البلاد, the one that no structures like it were created in the cities or anywhere. So Allah is even saying that these pillars and these palaces are, subhanAllah, they're unmatched. And through all of history, nobody will be able to create palaces and structures like these people. And then Allah says, الَّذِينَ طَغَوْا فِي الْبِلَادِ فَأَكْثَرُوا فِيهَا الْفَسَادِ. Those people, they spread corruption on the earth. They thought they were better than everybody because of their power. Allah gave them this ability to craft these things and to do these things, and yet they still did not think, oh, Allah gave me all this thing, let me be grateful. No, they allowed their what's it called, their power to get in their way and to get into their tawheed, into their religion. And then Allah says, وَتَتَّخِذُونَ مَصَانِعَ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَخْلُدُونَ. That, another verse, Allah says that they used to make these, pillars or these houses in the walls or in the mountains, just so they can, like, within them, they have this thought that they're going to be everlasting. Subhanallah. And this is the level of arrogance. And when this happened, Hud alayhi salam started warning them and was trying to get them to submit to Allah and to leave all their idols. And they attributed all their greatness to their idols and to their way of life. And subhanAllah, this is something really important. The concept of, materialistic gains or having material and attributing that to moral judgment or to superior morality. And subhanAllah, we see this a lot nowadays in our time specifically, because we see, the land we live in, the West, and the Western power, especially after World War II, we started to see that because of their immense technology, power, and infrastructure, they now think and feel like they're morally superior than everybody else. They think that their way is the right way. Their concept of what is right and wrong, just because they have more power and more money and more, a more lavish life, they think that automatically translates to being right and being truthful. And so subhanAllah, this is the same way that these people thought. The same capitalistic mindset Allah is describing here, where they thought because of the material, the matter that they have, the amount of goods they had, and how beautiful things looked, that because of that, they now can say they're superior than other people. And we see this manifest, subhanAllah, like the amount of tyranny and the amount of corruption that we see because of this nowadays is immense. You see, the colonials, they're colonizing other countries, like India, or even when the British colonized India or the French colonized, North Africa and all these areas. They're, even in Arabic, it's called isti'mar. The concept is that this area is going to be one that they're going to do amar of the earth. They're going to inhabit the earth. They're going to teach the Western or the Easterns, teach the Muslims basically how to have civilization. And look at what amar they did. It's really istikhrab. They destroyed what's happened, all of the land, subhanAllah. But it's because they actually see that the white man, or they see that themselves and their theology and their ideologies as the what's it called, as the ruling powers and the moral, like superiors. And back then it was idols. Nowadays it's isms. All these isms, you want to say. But subhanAllah, this is how Allah, is describing this. But if we don't look, and we sometimes, subhanAllah, when we hear stories, we go on airplane mode, where we start to think that these people are just some backwards people that basically probably barely had any clothes and they were living in huts and tents. But look how Allah is describing them. He's describing these people, and their powers as something immense. And so, I know I spent a lot of time on this, but the whole point is for us to understand that these people, their civilization, Allah took time out of His book to show us how important it is. And so this is a lesson, for anybody that comes after. what happens to the arrogance? What happens to the one that does not, that does not obey Allah Azza wa Jal and his prophets? And when Hud alayhi salam started calling them for Tawheed and repeatedly telling them, I have the same thing as Nuh said, that I gain nothing from this. وَلَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا. I don't ask of you any favor. I want nothing. So when he goes with the same exact mindset as Nuh alayhi salam, they tell him to leave. And if he does not leave, that they will kill him. Subhanallah. And Hud alayhi salam, he says, قال إني أشهد الله قال إني أشهد الله وأشهد أني بريء. So what they basically did, subhanallah, is when they would see Hud alayhi salam and they would accuse him of lying and they would accuse him of being crazy, they started to say that, and they started to use him as an example for their young generations, for the young kids, like, look at this guy. If you disobey our idols, you're going to become like this guy, crazy, alone. He didn't have many followers. And Allah says in the Quran, إِن نَقُولُ إِلَّا اعْتَرَاكَ بَعْضُ آلِهَتِنَا بِسُوءٍ قَالَ إِنِّي أُشْهِدُ اللَّهَ وَأُشْهِدُ أَنِّي بَرِيءٌ مِّمَّا تُشْرِكُونَ. That they said that some of our gods has possessed you with evil. So they're attributing him having a different mindset as being possessed. And he said, قَالَ إِنِّي أُشْهِدُ اللَّهَ. I bear witness to Allah that I am, bari, that I am, innocent from your, from your shirk. And then he says, مِن دُونِهِ فَكِيدُونِي جَمِيعًا ثُمَّ لَا تُنظِرُونَ. So he says, فَكِيدُونِي جَمِيعًا. Yani, not only is he saying, I don't care what you do, he says, plot against me as much as you can. And then he says, ثُمَّ لَا تُنظِرُونَ. Then do not even wait. Come right away. He's saying, if you want to kick me out, you want to kill me, you want to do anything to me, bring everything you can and come and do it now. Don't even wait. He's not even scared an inch. He doesn't even feel like he needs to be worried. These people are threatening him. And they're telling him, these people who are giants, who have a lot of power, are telling him, we're going to come after you. And he says, bring everything you can. And don't just bring it, come now. Subhanallah. It's the same as the ayah that we hear. Subhanallah, I lost the ayah. So basically, فَكِيدُونِ جَمِيعًا ثُمَّ لَا تُنظِرُونَ. And then he says, إِنِّي تَوَكَّلْتُ عَلَى اللَّهِ. The reason why he has all this confidence that no matter how powerful you are and no matter how quick you even bring the punishment, what keeps me at peace is إِنِّي تَوَكَّلْتُ عَلَى اللَّهِ. I have tawakkul on Allah. إِنِّي تَوَكَّلْتُ عَلَى اللَّهِ رَبِّي وَرَبِّكُمْ. He's reminding them that I am, I have my tawakkul. My reliance is on Allah, my God and your God. Just because you're powerful, no, he's reminding that Allah is also your God. رَبِّي وَرَبِّكُمْ. مَا مِن دَابَّةٍ إِلَّا هُوَ آخِذٌ بِنَاصِيَتِهَا. إِنَّ رَبِّي عَلَى صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ. There isn't a single dabba, there isn't a single animal or creature that Allah Azza wa Jal is not in control of. And subhanAllah, I remember the ayah, الَّذِينَ قَالَ لَهُمُ النَّاسُ إِنَّ النَّاسَ قَدْ جَمَعُوا لَكُمْ فَاخْشَوْهُمْ فَزَادَهُمْ إِيمَانَهُمْ وَعَلَى رَبِّهِمْ يَتَوَكَّلُونَ. The ones that when they heard, subhanAllah, we hear this in the Quran, when they heard that the people are plotting against you, that only strengthened their iman. They're not scared of anybody because they know they have Allah. And so this shows us the strength of tawakkul. But when did this ayah come? When did Allah, or when did Hud alayhi salam say this? He did not say this before he even warned them. He said this after years and after work and after many years of doing his part. One of us, subhanAllah, we have a misunderstanding of tawakkul, where we just throw things into tawakkul. Like, I'm not gonna study for my exam. I'm not gonna do anything. I'm not gonna work hard. I'm not gonna do my homework. And yet, inni tawakkaltu ala Allah. Yeah, right. You have to do every single thing in your ability, and then you put the tawakkul. And even then, if something comes up, you still work hard. The Prophet ﷺ, when he was, subhanAllah, like when he was leaving Mecca to go to migrate to Medina, he did every little thing he could to make sure that his way would be smooth. He exit like Medina is north. He exited south from the city just to make sure that he doesn't they don't follow his footsteps. He hired somebody to walk behind him like a shepherd and clean his footsteps. Subhanallah. Yet he's the one with tawakkul. And as we will see, subhanallah, if we get to the seerah of the Prophet, then when he got stuck in the cave, Allah sent some narrations say the spider, some people say the pigeon to kind of protect him from the cave, in the cave, from the mushrikeen seeing him. But the whole point is that when we have tawakkul on Allah, we can only, and we're only allowed to have this sincere tawakkul is if we did everything. This concept of i'qal wa tawakkal. Do everything you can and then put the reliance on Allah. And after this point, him having this tawakkul, him seeing that his people are plotting against him, he said actually a very short dua. You know, when we talked about Nuh said, قال رب لا تذر على الأرض من الكافرين ديارا. Nuh said, don't leave anybody on earth from the disbelievers. Nuh had a long dua. But Hud alayhi salam had a very short dua. قال ربي انصرني بما كذبوا. Oh my Lord, bring me victory from what they have accused me of lying. قال عما قليل ليصبحن نادمين. After a little while, they're gonna wake up regretful. Yani subhanallah, basically Allah is saying next morning or the next time, they're gonna see what's gonna happen. As soon as the morning comes. And it's not about yani, maybe here not literally the next morning, but it's showing the shortness of distance, that this life is short and that their punishment is gonna come soon. And then Allah says, فَأَخَذَتْهُمُ الصَّيْحَةُ بِالْحَقِّ فَجَعَلْنَاهُمْ غُثَاءً فَبُعْدًا لِلْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ. And then after this, you know, a drought came. You know, that region of Ahqaf, which we said is between, you know, Oman and Yemen in the southern of the Arabian Peninsula, that region was full of green, was full of trees and mountains, and was very, very, very healthy soil. And then years of drought would come. And these people, subhanAllah, they were so arrogant that they would say, قَالُوا مَنْ أَشَدُّ مِنَّا قُوَّةً. Imagine, like literally they would say, who is stronger than us? Subhanallah. Like look at the arrogance. And when this drought came, you know, years would go by, and the first few years, they're just like, they're still arrogant. And as the years would go by and they would start to feel, you know, the weakness and you would see the green start to turn into a desert. And this drought would come. They went and they started, you know, making dua basically to their idols, to ask their idols to help them. And when this happened, subhanAllah, this is after many years. And after, you know, you see the struggle that they actually now asked for help. But obviously from the wrong deity. They didn't ask help from Allah Azza wa Jal. And so Allah Azza wa Jal sent these clouds. And when this gray clouds, subhanAllah, gray clouds would come and pass by, and they, you know, got all excited. They thought, subhanAllah, that their dua was answered. And they had this feeling that like, who's going to stop us? Like, look at us. We're so strong. We're so powerful. And even if there is God, and even when there is a deity up there, he just wants even better for us, because look at us. We're awesome. You know what I mean? This, you know, mindset that like, I'm at the top, so I only deserve to be at the top. And this is just how it's supposed to be. And subhanAllah, this reminds me, yani, as I was preparing for this, subhanAllah, I was reading these verses, and I just remembered, you know, the story from Surah Al-Kahf, where the two guys with the garden. And one of them says, when his companion was telling him, you know, to worry about the day of judgment, and he says that, you know, if the day of judgment would come, that like, I'm going to be chilling. You know, subhanAllah. How does the verses go? قال له صاحبه وهو يحاور أنا خير وأعز نفرا ودخل جنته وهو ظالم لنفسه قال ما أظن أن تبيد هذه أبدا وما أظن الساعة قائمة. And I don't think that the hour will come. ولئن رددت. And if I go back to my Lord, وَلَئِن رُدِدْتُ إِلَىٰ رَبِّي لَأَجِدَنَّ خَيْرًا مِنْهَا مُنْقَلَبًا. And if I would return to my Lord, And if I go to the day of judgment, I'm going to even find better than this garden on earth. Subhanallah, the arrogance. Look at that. He even thinks, even if there is a day of judgment, I'm going to be chilling. Because guess what? Like, I'm so awesome on this earth. Because I am, I have such a good life here. Whatever. I'm a doctor. I'm an engineer. I'm the successful person on earth. Just the same way I'm successful on this earth, I'm going to be successful in the afterlife. Subhanallah. And these people have the same exact mindset. And Allah says, فَلَمَّا رَأَوْا عَارِضًا مُسْتَقْبِلَ أَوْدِيَتِهِمْ قَالُوا هَذَا عَارِضٌ مُمْطِرُنَا. They said, when they seen these clouds, they said, yes, finally, rain. هَذَا عَارِضٌ مُمْطِرُنَا. بَلْ هُوَ مَا اسْتَعْجَلْتُمْ بِهِ. Indeed, it is what you have been waiting for. Indeed, it is what you have been waiting for. It's severe punishment. ريح, wind, فيها عذاب أليم. ريح فيها عذاب أليم. Wind that has severe punishment in it. تدمر كل شيء بأمر ربها. It destroys everything with the command of its Lord. فأصبحوا لا يرى إلا مساكنهم. So then the only thing that was left is their houses. And then even some narrations say even nothing was left. تدمر كل شيء فأصبحوا لا يرى إلا مساكنهم كذلك نجزي القوم المجرمين. Just like that, we reward the criminal. Subhanallah. And so, this whole scene is happening, and Allah Azza wa Jal ordered Hud and the believers to exit, to leave. Allah mentioned in Surah Al-Ahqaf that this happened for Surah Al-Haqqa. He mentioned that this happened for 7 nights and 8 days. He says, سَخَّرَهَا عَلَيْهِمْ 7 لَيَالٍ وَ8 أَيَّامٍ حُسُومًا فَتَرَى الْقَوْمَ فِيهَا صَرْعًا كَأَنَّهُمْ أَعْجَازُ نَخْلٍ خَاوِيَةٍ. That he, prepared this storm onto them. Yeah, subhanAllah, picture the storm. These storms, the ones you see on TV, or you'll even see on, you see some videos of, this storm does not wait. Like 30 seconds of a storm, and it's enough to destroy everything. Yani highways, streets, buildings. Like, you see just a quick footage of a flood or a storm, and the adhab of Allah when it comes, it doesn't even need long. The hurricanes sometimes, they're very short and yet destructive. Now imagine for 7 nights and 8 days. What was left? Nothing was left. And then Allah says, فَهَلْ تَرَى, and Allah is asking the Prophet ﷺ, فَهَلْ تَرَى لَهُم مِّن بَاقِيَةٍ. Do you find any remnants of these people? And this is mentioned that even till now, people cannot find anywhere where they live. They cannot find anything of their civilization, their culture, anything of their buildings. فَهَلْ تَرَى لَهُم مِّن بَاقِيَةٍ. Subhanallah. Yani, this is the reality of the arrogance. That when you have this feeling of like, oh, I am high, Allah will make sure you're not even seen. فَهَلْ تَرَى لَهُم مِّن بَاقِيَةٍ. There's nothing left of them. And these people, Allah mentions these people in the Quran because the Arabs know these people. These are the first Arabs. Nothing is left of them. That's why they call them Arab al-Badiya. Nothing is left of them. They're done. They don't even exist. This lineage of Arabs is gone. Ad and then Thamud, as we'll see after. But subhanallah, the point is that when you put yourself at a high status and you say, Man ashaddu minna quwwa, who is stronger than us? And we might not do this in that blatant way, but we might do it in smaller ways, where we genuinely feel like we're so important, or we genuinely start to feel like, our achievements allow us to become people, that are not normal. Like, you start to feel like I'm better than others because so and so and so and so. And one of the most interesting things is Fir'aun. I don't have the Fir'aun, when he is describing why people need to refer to him as God, he mentions the reason why people need to worship him as God is because he has these rivers flowing beneath him. He has this whole kingdom. He has all these great things. Subhanallah. The reason why he is disobeying Allah is because of the gifts Allah gave him. He thinks he is God because of what God gave him. Think of the audacity and really the stupidity. And so how many of us, we might not go to that length, but how many of us will use the blessings that Allah Azza wa Jal gave us to sin and to hurt each other and to hurt ourselves? Subhanallah. And so this is, the story of Hud and Qawm Ad, and, in it, there's many lessons. And inshallah, next week, we will continue and we'll go through the story of Thamud and their prophet. Anybody know their prophet? Let's see. Before we start the questions, I'll question you guys. Who is the prophet that's sent to Thamud? Salih. Inshallah, if there's any questions, we can go through them. I think we have like 10 minutes before Adhan. تفضل. Yes. Why most of the prophets were sent to Arabs? I don't know if most of the prophets were sent to Arabs. I think the reason is because the Quran was revealed on